Thanks.
Taoiseach, at this stage I have run out of fingers and toes to count the number of scandals about on board Pleanála revealed by the ditch. We have multiple incidents of what certainly looks like clear conflicts of interest not being declared. We have a pattern of inspectors' reports being disregarded in order to favour the wishes of developers. We have reports of at least 3 incidents of inspectors being pressurised to change their reports to bring them in line with the interests of developers. We have the Director of Planning participating in a meeting of institutional landlords, giving them advice in applications to onboard Pleanála. You have question marks over the application, over the appointment of 2 members of the board, including a sister of a Fianna Fáil TD, nominated by the Irish Creamery Milk Suppliers Association, and the Deputy Chair of the board, who was nominated by the Irish Rural Dwellers Association at a time when it was defunct. It didn't exist as an organisation, couldn't have had any nominating rights for over a year. The very latest is a story yesterday on the ditch about the Director of Planning having an issue in terms of ruling on applications that were made by her, that her relationship to her husband. The question is, Taoiseach, what is the government going to do about this? You've announced a review, but it's a review about the actions of 1 member of the board in relation to just 3 specifics. It is simply not good enough. Do you not accept that at the very least the review now needs to be expanded to include all the operations of the board, including the role of these so-called nominating bodies?
First of all, could I say that I've been very clear, and I've repeatedly said in this House, that housing is the single most urgent and important social issue facing our country at this moment in time. And through the Housing for All, we've provided action in terms of a very wide range of initiatives on the social housing front, on the homeless front, and on affordable housing also, because access to housing is fundamental to our security, stability, health and progress as a nation. There's no doubt about that. The government's in office 2 years. We had 2 lockdowns, unfortunately, which did impact on construction, although we managed to keep quite a number of social housing projects on the go. And this year, we'll see, hopefully, and we're heading there, a record number of social houses built ever in the country. But we need to keep that rate going every year. I can't comment on individual cases that I'm not familiar with the detail on, but supply is the vital part of this. And we need to build more houses of all types as quickly as we possibly can. That is the key intervention. We've provided the resources. It's 4 billion now per annum will be provided to enable the construction of social affordable homes. And we've also, for example, taken significant action on voids, of making sure that local authority houses bring their voids, empty houses, back as quickly as we possibly can. And over 6,000 voids have been brought back in the last 2 years as a result of the Minister's initiative on that. We want to get to certainly 33,000 a year. I think the target this year is around 24,000, and last year it was about 20,000 was achieved, which, given COVID, had an impact on that. What's interesting is March to March, we've had the highest number of commencements ever, and that's at about 35,000. Now, the war in Ukraine, the cost of materials, commodities, inflation is impacting. But the recently cooperative framework for tenders that the Minister for Public Expenditure announced will give some capacity to try and finish projects and enable people to tender for new projects. On homelessness, that is a very key issue for us. And again, the Minister has taken a lot of initiatives, particularly working with the sector and working with all the non-governmental organisations in respect of homelessness and the approved social housing bodies, to do what we can to provide homes for the homeless and to prioritise in terms of housing first and so forth. The current level of family homelessness is too high at 1,308. It's 26% below the peak figure recorded in July of 2018, but it is increasing. And there's a range of factors behind the homelessness numbers increasing. It's not as simple or straightforward as sometimes gets articulated. And our priority will always be to do what we can, working with the non-governmental organisations to increase the supply. Deputy Cian O'Callaghan raised the issue of divestment of schools. and that we operate a pluralist model. Plebiscites are held in different locations in terms of new schools, for example, and certainly where it we want to see more divestment, greater plurality, greater access, and a significant investment has been allocated to Educate Together, for example, and that will continue. On Board Pleanála, sorry, the Minister has appointed a senior counsel to investigate the issues that have been raised in respect of Board Pleanála in terms of the one individual there on the board, and that report, I think, is important that we allow that report to complete without further comment until the senior counsel brings it to finalisation.